just don't remember the cloud being on the left. And at one, but I was thinking of it for Danny because NAC had done it in 24. Or actually 23.
I like it when that works too, when it's not in the backyard.
Yeah.
Even with my nice coat, I was up there. What do you mean? You mean I've been up there in the summertime for yeah, there's that. So then I need to get this in.
Octavius is by the way. You know, and you are very. Okay, nice to meet you. This is Susie.
Hi.
Hi there.
And what is your name?
Audrey.
Audrey.
I'm in Octavius Scott's district.
Oh, nice. So can I give this to Cindy?
Yeah.
She's not there. Right?
She's not there, but go ahead and put it on the desk. So you'll see the other credit where it's
Oh,
at.
it is. Interesting meeting tonight. I think so. Yeah, I know. I want that jacket on. Windbreaker. That keeps me when I'm outside. The wind is blowing.
Dan is mayor pro tem. Okay. I guess you're changing them up now. So I'm like,
No, it's just, yeah, the mayor pro tem is,
well, typically, wasn't he always on the right of the mayor?
yeah,
But
I know.
it looks like he's on the left.
He is, yes. And last meeting, she was where Danny is.
Yes. So see, I'm not losing my
No,
mind.
no,
I
no,
was.
you're right
I was
on
like,
top of it.
maybe I'm not. Yeah.
Ray had an angio today. He's got cardiac issues. He said just a heart failure.
Last meeting.
Tom and Kath, Pauline have been in our work forever. Ray. But they moved to Corona. Always just have trouble breathing. He's got fluid on his lungs.
Where's the motivator? Where are they looking to put it?
Take it deep.
I don't want to yell across you.
He's our mayor now.
So you're gonna do our
Yes.
pledge?
Again. I know they were. Well, they do, but because we had a somebody dropped out and they came back. I read the stuff. Well, April was replaced Joel. Right. And because she's new, they kept saying and Danny took this program, I think. It's more for continuity. In the summertime, I've been talking for the summertime, believe it or not.
Right, well, let's read the order. Where's our motivator at? Yes, you, CEO. You may please to the pledge.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you'd like to remain standing, invocation by Susie Dick from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Our dear Father in heaven, we are so very grateful to be here this day. We're grateful for the City Council, for all that they do, and for all of the hard work that they do for this great city of 29 Palms. We are grateful for the military base that is here and for the blessing that that is in the lives of the people who live in this city. We pray that thou bless those who are there and keep them safe. We're grateful for our those who protect the city too, our sheriffs and our fire departments, and we pray that thou bless them and their families and for the great sacrifices that they make each day as they watch their loved ones walk through that door. Father, we're also grateful or pray that thou bless those people in LA who have been affected by these fires. We pray that thou watch over them. We pray that they will get the help that they need and that they will be able to rebuild and start their lives again. We're so thankful for all that thou hast done. We're so grateful for thee and for thy Son, Jesus Christ. We pray, Father, now that we will always remember thee, that we will have thy Spirit in this meeting, and that we will be able to do the things that thou would have us do. We pray that thou be with those who are speaking, that they will be able to help us understand their needs, and that if it's possible, that those needs will be met by the City Council and those who work here. Again, we are grateful for all that we have, Father, and all that thou hast done for us, and we say this humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilmember Ramirez,
Here.
Councilmember Scott,
Here.
Councilmember Wright,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz,
Here.
Mayor Bilderey.
Here.
All present.
There's no closed session announcements. Change the agenda.
Just one, sir, and that is that the individual from the district attorney's office is at a family emergency, is not going to be able to attend tonight and make a presentation on Proposition 36.
All right. Thank you. Announcements. These proceedings may be viewed on demand on the City of 29 Palms website at www.29palms.org. You may also live stream this meeting by going on our website and clicking on Meeting Agendas link. Awards, presentations, appointments, and proclamations. Number 2, presentation of the report from the Joshua Tree National Park Art Expo by Ms. Vickie Waite.
Get this up. Can you hear me okay? Mr. Mayor, council members, and for those who don't know me, I'm Vickie Waite, a 35-year resident of 29 Palms. This will be my 35th year. I did this the old-fashioned way today with no PowerPoint. Instead, I have given you a green folder which has a copy of our exhibition catalog from last year, a letter to the City Council, some photographs from the event, and a written report and budget. And this is for our 12th annual Joshua Tree National Park Art Expo, which was held at the 29 Palms Art Gallery in November. And I'm going to read, if I may, from the letter that I wrote to the council, just saying thank you for your support for the 12th annual Joshua Tree National Park Art Expo, which held at the historic 29 Palms Art Gallery and the Oasis of Mara in 29 Palms, November 2024. And I want to say that we sincerely appreciate the fact that you have been a sponsor of our event since its inaugural event in 2013. And this year we also had supplementary grants from the T-Bid and the PAC. This year, the Joshua Tree National Park Art Expo featured 60 artists in its national juried exhibition, and it's featuring artwork inspired by Joshua Tree National Park. It was held for the whole month of November at the gallery. Juried artists were from 29 Palms, the Morongo Basin, the Coachella Valley, and across California and the United States, including artists from Arizona, Nevada, Montana, Florida, and Maryland. And these are artists who have visited the park, have created art in the park. They heard about the exhibition and they submitted their entries. Between 450 and 500 people attended the Art Expo opening weekend event, which featured the exhibition plus artist booths on the gallery grounds, art demos, food and beverages, live music, and an awards reception on Saturday evening. Admission was free to all events. An additional 400 people visited the gallery exhibition during the month until the show closed on November 30th. By the close of the show, $4,130 worth of artwork was sold in the exhibition in the gallery. Also, artists who had art market booths during the opening weekend sold more than $4,756 worth of artwork. So we feel that was very, very good for the artists and for us. The City of 29 Palms was our awards sponsor this year, and your community events grant supported art awards for 11 artists, totaling $4,000. In addition, a T-bid sponsorship of $1,000 was our music sponsor and supported the local musicians who performed at Art Expo weekend. And the PAC was Jurors Judges sponsor with a cultural arts event grant of $550 that provided stipends for the artists serving as jurors and award judges for the exhibition. During the 12th annual Art Expo, we hosted hundreds of attendees from our desert region, all over California, and numerous artists, families, and visitors from out of state who viewed the exhibition and attended the opening weekend celebration. Many stayed in our local hotels and vacation rentals and ate in our local restaurants. We also partnered with the annual weed show that weekend so that attendees could walk back and forth down the street from the gallery to the Old Schoolhouse Museum for a mutually beneficial cultural event experience in 29 Palms. Thank you again, and we look forward to your continued support in the coming year as we will again celebrate our City of 29 Palms and the art and artists inspired by our own Joshua Tree National Park. And I sincerely do thank you for being our consistent supporter. You'll see that I have attached in there, if you want to read the packet, I've attached a budget, which, of course, we are a nonprofit organization, and the event did not make a profit this year. And part of that is because one of our major sponsors was not able to support us this year, so we sincerely appreciated everything that you did for us. Do you have any questions?
Council? No? Thank you so much.
Okay, and I do hope that next year you will attend the event.
We will be there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Number 3, presentation update on Molding Hearts homeless outreach. Oh, Katie's doing it.
Hello and good evening. Greetings, Mayor and Council. Can we start my PowerPoint, please? Before I get started, I would like to take a moment to say thank you to Councilman Wright. I thank you when I reached out to you for the young lady who she was a widower. She had lost her military husband. You were very resourceful with me being able to assist her to get her some information so that she can get some benefits. I would like to thank you, Councilman Scott, the gentleman that you referred to Dr. Stone for me to be able to reach out to. I did reach out to him within 30 minutes. Unfortunately, he has some low barriers that we're gonna try to work past, but I just wanna let you know I worked on it as quick as I heard it. I would also like to thank Councilwoman Ramirez. She has helped with 3 individuals. There was one that I would like to take a moment to speak on. There was a young lady who reached out through social media that she was actually unhoused, and she was also part of a domestic violence situation. It was 9:30 at night, and when I got the phone call, I had to make an executive decision if it was safe for us to actually handle the situation. April Ramirez, as a councilwoman, as a person of integrity, said that I'm gonna sit here at at McDonald's and wait for you to come. We didn't ever put her in the car. We did it safely, but when I got there, we were able to actually house the young lady, and she's being housed today. So, Councilwoman Ramirez, I thank you for your dedication. So for all the council, thank you so much for supporting me and at least being the spearhead to let Molding Hearts help your community. So let's get into it. As most of you know, my name is Lakita Johnson. I am the proud CEO of MoldingHearts.org. We are a 501c3 organization located right here in the East Valley region. I am also the service provider chair individual for the COC Continuum of Care for the County of San Bernardino, as well as I sit on the board for the Homeless East Valley Steering Committee. I say that to say that my focus is helping the unhoused. Okay, let's go to the next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I knew it was going to be small. Okay. So just a quick agenda. I'm not going to take up much of your time this evening. I wanted to talk about the performance, the clients that we served, and also some of the solutions that we actually, our team has put together. Let's see, we're on performances. So today, we are proud to report we have been able to service 33 individuals and families. 22 individuals have been housed or linked to services, assisted in staying in their current housing situation. We have serviced 9 males, 8 females, and 5 families. We have been able to find employment for 8 individuals. I would like to give acknowledgement to training FTIM, First Institute Training and Management. They have been able to help me to house as well as employ individuals that have been in the welfare system so that they can actually get off of the welfare system. We have projected if they are actually receiving their aid as well as us paying them $18 an hour, our projections is in 6 months, 8 of these individuals will be able to get off of welfare. The individuals that have been housed, we complemented the first month to be able to spearhead them into finding a funding source. And I'm proud to say that every individual that we housed, they all paid the next month. Families, when people say we don't help families, we actually do not house families, you're right. But what we do is we have resources. So there's a HAP fund that basically if you have a child who is 12 to 25 years old in your home, there is actually funding to assist them to stay within their home. And we have worked hard with families as well. So our solutions, we have some gray areas. And I know that some people say, Lakita, you know, you're not compassionate about showers, you're not compassionate about sleeping bags and feeding. Business owners are reaching out to me now. And the business owners are saying that some of the individuals that are unhoused are using the restroom, leaving syringes. When they're coming to work, when they ask them to move, they're being combative. I have been able to go out and talk to individuals, and I understand that everyone has a right to choose what you want to do in your life. But what do we do when it affects the children that are walking by? Or the business owner who's trying to make a living for 29 Palms. We really need to think about as we move to the next phase. We have contracted with the County of San Bernardino Department of Behavioral Health, and they have a sheriff initiative that is going to be, if you have an individual who's homeless in a certain area, they are going to be coming out to assist to see if they can actually give resources to the individuals they're basically double checking, making sure that nonprofits are giving the unhoused all of the attention that they need, because the goal is in 2025, there's no reason to be unhoused. I have 10 providers on my caseload. We have 76 beds available. So my whole thing is we need to get people housed. Let's see. Just for the resource, if you know of anyone that is on probation, remember they can live rent-free for 1 year. All they have to do is save 80% of their income. Valley Star FSP, they will pay for 6 months of your housing if you're getting services to get reacclimated. I put TAY, but individuals do not know what TAY means. That's transitional age youth. That's individuals 18 to 25. We can house you for 1 year for free with a possible extension. If you're going to college, we will assist you with schooling as well. Adult Protective Services, if you are a senior, they will help with a case-by-case basis until they can find your funding source. Please understand, if you are receiving Social Security, your funding source has already been secured. You unfortunately will not qualify for many of the funding pools that I just talked about due to the fact that Social Security is your funding source. And that is going to conclude my statement. Is there any questions that I can help you with?
Counsel?
I have a question. When you said 33 folks, is that from 29 Palms? Is that those?
Only.
Only 29 Palms?
Yes,
okay,
sir.
good. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
When you said that if you are on Social Security, you do not qualify for other programs, can you please elaborate on that? What does that mean?
Okay.
So let's say, for example, I'm an individual on Social Security,
Yes, ma'am.
and I reach out to Molding Hearts.
Yes.
What does that look like?
Okay. So when an individual receives Social Security, it's because the government or Social Security has found that they are unable to work. And that income is made for them to be able to live on housing is mostly what it's for. On top of that, you're able to get food stamps. So it's Social Security is the foundation for your housing. So when they come to let's say if you're on probation and you already have Social Security, they figure that money that you're getting from the government already is supposed to be going for your housing. You are able to work a part-time job on Social Security, but you already have a funding source, and that's normally $1,100 to $1,200 a month.
One more follow-up question. If there is an individual that is on Social Security,
Yes.
does that mean that they do not qualify to be housed with Molding Hearts?
They will qualify to be housed with Molding Hearts, but they have to understand that if it's like the 12th or the 15th and they no longer have income, we will house them for the first month, but after that first month is their responsibility to pay with their Social Security. And that amount is $800 a month. That includes your housing as well as 3 meals. It breaks down to $27 a day.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. I really appreciate the work that you're doing in our community. I just want to know, how do you know that these individuals are from 29 Palms? And the reason I ask is because you have a lot of partnerships where you're getting applicants from like the TAY Center, things like that. So what mechanism is in place to know that these people were 29 Palms residents?
Your ID needs to say that you're from 29 Palms. You have to state where you were homeless at in 29 Palms. Some of my people are coming from behind AutoZone, as well as behind Dollar Tree, as well as behind Stater Brothers. Individuals that are calling from like Facebook or other things like that, they're stipulating that they were from 29 Palms. So my questions goes like this. You're homeless, how may I assist you? Our agency is Molding Hearts, we're here to assist you. They'll say, I'm homeless. I said, okay, well, what city are you homeless in? It's true, I service 29 Palms, Yucca Valley, and all different cities, but I do not allow someone from Yucca Valley to use the funds for 29 Palms. So normally their IDs will represent that. And just so that Dr. Stone knew that I was doing the right thing, sometimes when I actually get a client, I would actually send him a picture showing that this individual was being served and that they were from 29 Palms, because I thought that that question would come up.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. My next question is where are they mostly being housed at? Are there housing outside of the city, or most of them are housed within the city?
It's a mixture of both, to be honest with you. It is a mixture of both because we have limited here in 29 Palms, but the great thing about 29 Palms is we've been able to link with permanent housing where they have been able to rent rooms where we would actually help them to get in there, and then they were able to be continued. So they're not in a transitional point, they're in permanent housing.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anyone else, council?
Thank you for all you do. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Anyone, public? All right.
Someone had a question over here.
Well, they got it.
Yes.
So we work for the county of San Bernardino.
Hey, miss, would you be so kind as to come up and, you know what, actually, let's do a public comment. Can you do that? Can you fill out that drain form so that we can make sure that it's recorded?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a form out there.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, yeah.
After your question, you can.
Hi. My name is Lakita.
Hi, Anna.
Hi, Anna.
Hi. So, I work for the county of San Bernardino, the Transitional Assistance Department, and I have a lot of people that come in, majority homeless, and I try very hard to give them resources. And I just wanted to ask if it's approved, if you could please take the time and maybe come over there and explain to us, because when we refer homeless people or people that are like being evicted from their homes and all that, I think it'll be great if we can like connect, so in that way we can refer them to you.
Okay. And I'll give you some of my flyers before I leave, and that we can arrange that.
Yes,
Okay, awesome.
that's what I would like.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey.
Oh, sorry.
Right, one more. Stephen Friendly. Oh, okay. Anyone else? We are good. Once again, thank you so much for everything you're doing. It's been effective.
Thank you.
I hear a lot of people talking about molding hearts, and then also Arch. I think our whole community is starting to feel that we do care about our unhoused, and we're doing everything we can. So there's a lot of positives going out on the situation. So I feel yours program and Arch's program, then just our citizens who've been stepping in, winging it, people like that. Everyone's been doing a great job trying to figure out how to make this better as best we can. So thank you once again for everything you're doing.
Thank you for your acknowledgement. Thank you.
Is that it? All right. Council comments and reports of meetings attended. Councilwoman Ramirez.
Hi, I attended the point in count time, and I had the pleasure of working with Councilman Mintz, who was very generous in giving me a step-by-step tour of the area that we covered. It was very nice to learn the history of 29 Palms. We counted about 10 people, and then I've also been in contact with a local nonprofit about their interest in developing low-income, age-restricted housing, which is phenomenal in my opinion. And then recently I've also met, it's no surprise to some people that I am a nurse. I met with a doctor who has a background in oncology, hematology, wound care certified, and rural health. And so this mobile doctor, he offers mobile doc services. So he and his medical group also provide telehealth, oncology, mobile x-ray, mobile labs, mobile nursing, mobile PT, wound care, hematology. And Dr. Stone-Janes has been so kind as to help facilitate the conversation of what that looks like to go ahead and bring this accessible health care to 29 Palms, as well as we are in the talks of possibly opening an urgent care here. Thank you.
All right, if you're clapping, you can't get mad at the booze either. So, all right. Councilmember Scott.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I sat with the subcommittee on planning committee with Councilwoman April Ramirez, and we interviewed potential planning commissioners, and so we expect to have something at the next council meeting. Thank you.
Councilmember Wright?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it. I got the opportunity to sit in on a Zoom call with Senator Ochoa Bogue. She's our new senator for this area. So great dialogue, a lot of good information passed, and I'm making sure she don't forget about us down here in 29 Palms. So when we come and ask her for money, she better be saying yes. Yeah. And then I also attended the MLK annual walk that we do every year. We walk from Little Church of the Desert down to Palm Baptist, and normally we would have a prayer bowl afterwards, but this year, just because of some technical issues and things like that, we did the pretty much in the parking lot. So we walked down and then did a short program in the parking lot. It was still great. The attendance was great. I wish it was more people, but I'm always going to wish for more people, so that's just me. But it was still great. It was a great event, and greatly appreciate it. And then I do want to echo something that the mayor said at the last meeting about the hospitality that we receive in 29 Palms, because every time I go somewhere out of 29 Palms, it is extremely different. I mean, I was in a store and the person worked in the store and I couldn't get no help. And when I asked for help, the response was rather rude. And I was like, but you work here. And I had the same experience here, well, a different experience here in 29 Palms. I was in the store and the person saw me struggling to find out or figure out what I needed. And so she asked me, could she help me? And I told her yes. And so when she helped me, and then she told me, she said, yeah, I work here, but I'm off today. And I just thought that was amazing, you know, that she was willing to help me even on her day off. So just keep it up. Like the mayor said, you guys are awesome, and it's a big difference when you go down and you come back up. So thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also went to the point-in-time count training in Yucca Valley, and then we did the point-in-count here in 29 on last Thursday. And one point about behind the auto zone, I drive by there almost every day, and there's always been multiple folks there. When we went to count, there was only 2, and there was only 2 people there for the whole day. So that was when Lakita said that she picked some folks up from there. That is definitely true, because there was only 2 that day. So, and that was good. Also, was on the Zoom meeting with Councilmember Wright, with the senator. Went to the MLK walk, and then at noontime went over to the MLK. They had a picnic there, so I went over there. There's a lot of kids there, a lot of folks that were, and the bouncy house was definitely a big hit down there. And then, well, yesterday I had an air quality meeting in Victorville. I made it halfway there because it snowed really bad in Johnson Valley. Got through Landers. It was a little snow, but when I got going through Johnson Valley, there was an accident. They blocked the road. I sat there almost an hour and a half before I could turn around, came back, and then there was no snow left in Landers. But Johnson Valley got hammered. It was pretty bad. It was so I didn't get to go to that, so I'll find out later what's going on there. So other than that, Mr. Mayor, that's all I got.
All right, thank you. I didn't get to do the point and count, actual count, but I got to sit with the county rep, and we talked for about an hour while you guys are out counting, keeping him company. I did the MLK walk and give the proclamation. Also attended the MLK barbecue. Got some food just for you. It was delicious. Hangry Bear was serving it up. Also, I had a meetings with some citizens, and yesterday, and I know this is very important to many of you, but over the weekend we were dealing with the power outages. So yesterday morning we finally sat down and we had a good meeting with Southern Cal Edison. And February 11th, they should be here to give some briefs on everything that's going on. And they hear our concerns, our small business concerns. And so it was a good dialogue yesterday, a lot of understanding, things that they didn't know, but they didn't know, and now they know. And so we plan on working together on some of these issues that's hurting our small businesses with the power outages, of course. That's all I have. And consent calendar, all matters listed under the consent calendar are to be considered routine by the city council and be reenacted by one motion in a form listed. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately by the city council. The public will be given an opportunity to comment on the consent calendar items prior to the city council action. Council, anything?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, can I pull number 7, please?
Number 7. Anyone else? Council? No? Public, anything? No? All right, back up here. Can I get a motion for the rest?
I'll make a motion, we approve this consent calendar, except for number 7.
Second.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Councilmember Ramirez,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz,
Aye.
Mayor Bildery.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Right, number 7.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to just get a brief on this award agreement, if the city manager could, if he knows.
Yes, sir. So, Councilmember Scott, so when we acquired these 3 residences, there is a significant amount of work that we discovered needed to be done. And this tonight's agenda item here is part of that in order to get at least the one building in a condition in which it is compliant with ADA requirements and ultimately in a place where it can be rented for the originally intended inhabitants. And so that's the purpose of this. This has just been one of many actions that we have had to take with respect to these properties. Other things that we have been working on are asbestos remediation. We need to refresh some of the units because they're so dated. And so this is just one of those things that we need to do. Need to hire the consultant in order to do the actual design of the ADA improvements to ensure that it is safe, and then ultimately we'll have to implement them.
Thank you very much. Is there a cost of this? Is there fiscal impact?
Yes, let me go to that.
It's 30,000.
Yes, 30,800.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. I just wanted to see that. I
Very
didn't have
good.
time to look at it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No, since it's open, this is 30,000 that we have contracted total.
No. So, no, the total costs,
Is this the one that we're gonna have to pay more because of all the? Okay, I was making sure it's the same building.
yes,
okay.
sir, it is. Yeah, there's all 4 of the residences have just been replete with challenges. So, city staff, we've had a very dedicated finance department. Christina Benton has spent an extraordinary amount of time working through all of these issues, whether it be the eviction of the first tenant because they did not qualify, and just all of the challenges that went along with it. It's really been quite a laborious situation that we've been trying to work through.
All right. Right, are you good? Any from the public?
I'm Astrid Johnson.
Hey, Ms.
Yeah.
Astrid, would you be so
To the-
kind as to come up to the microphone?
Yeah, to the mic. You already have one in?
I didn't think of adding this one.
Okay, well,
I just want to make a comment that maybe people don't understand about ELM, is that it's for veteran housing. So the clients that we're talking about are senior veterans that are living there, and that property is exclusively for veterans. And we were in partnership with a grant, and that's how I know, the history of it, of obtaining the property and then in partnership. So we do keep an eye on these gentlemen and make sure that everything is running smoothly. And we also have funds to help to contribute towards some of the items. I know we paid for the gas heater in one of the units.
thank you. Yeah, I remember this with the senior veteran. We had to do the ADA because of it. Yeah, I remember that conversation.
Yeah.
All right, you think?
No, I was just
Okay.
gonna move the item.
Second.
Councilmember Wright,
Aye.
Councilmember Ramirez,
Aye.
Councilmember Scott,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz,
Aye.
Mayor Buildering.
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
No public hearing. Discussion of potential action items. Number 8, purchase of new animal control truck and body.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor. So this agenda item, just briefly, is something that has been allocated for quite some time. It's been in the work, as you just mentioned, for 5 years. And really, the timing could not be better. Just last week, the primary patrol truck that Animal Control has, and in fact, Mr. Rick Boyd is here tonight if you have any questions. But the primary patrol truck, that is the truck that we've got over in Animal Control that's got the best set of equipment, the boxes in there that Rick needs to do the job. Rick, would you like to take it away?
Yeah. How you doing, Mayor, Builder, and council members? So as the city manager was just discussing, we have an animal control truck that's kind of depleted. It's on its last leg. It kind of needs help. And let me give you a little background of it. We have the animal control bed that was bought in 2002. That was on our old animal control truck. That took us up to 2012. 2012, we got a new animal control truck. We transferred that bed onto the 2012 truck. Currently, we do have the 2012 truck, has 150,000 miles on it. Still a good truck. It's a diesel. Having a little problems right now. It's at Bill's Diesel up in Yucca. It's blowing black smoke. Engine's not totaled, but it is being checked on and fixed. What we are wanting to do is keep that animal control truck with that older bed from '02, which is just kind of falling apart. The bed's been through a lot. And we want to keep that as a spare truck. And then we would like to purchase a new truck with a new back on it. The new beds are really state of the art. Of course, you could just imagine from '02 to now. I mean, the new beds, they have AC. They're climate controlled with AC. Our bed right now has a broken swamp cooler. The new beds have double gates for safety for employees. So if you're, for staff, if you're opening up the gate, you have a double locked gate. So if you open up the one compartment, it has a scissor compartment on springs, plus that can open. Plus it has a hole for the catch pole. Right now what we're doing is if we get an aggressive dog up into the truck, we just have that one gate. If that thing flies open, it's gonna be all bad. So we're kind of holding the flashlight with our teeth, and we got the catch pole, and if it's 2, 3 in the morning, it gets kind of difficult. But what I'm getting at is the new beds have ramps. So now the dogs walk up in the ramps, up into the bed. So you're not doing the 360 twirl and lifting. So a lot of state-of-the-art stuff. But the inside's all LED. The back has a lift gate, a Tommy lift gate. Animal control, everybody's backs goes out sooner or later. But I know mine's been out like 4 times. But the new bed does have a lift gate. So all the DOAs and stuff like that on the highway and the roads has a container. You put the animal in the container, put it onto the lift gate, press a button, and you close it back. Right now we're grabbing leg, and putting them in. So just a lot of state-of-the-art stuff. So that's why we're going for this bed. These beds last a very long time. Right now ours is aluminum and stainless steel. That's '02. We've had the back fall off and kind of slide down the street before, but got that mended back up. But what I'm getting at is it's just old. But it would be a good backup truck. It would be awesome. When we're transporting animals, when we're going to Animal Action League and we're taking all these animals to get fixed, in the summertime it's really difficult without swamp cooler, without AC. The inside is stainless steel, so it stays cool. AC would be great.
Council, comments?
I have a question.
Sure.
When you're saying the AC, is that the AC for the employees or the AC for the animals?
For the animals. The
Okay.
employees could deal with it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Second
Yeah,
point.
we got windows that roll down, so.
Well, and I want to make sure you guys are working under good working conditions as well. My second question would be, do you feel that a new truck would help lessen the risk of potential workers' comp related injuries?
Definitely 100%.
Thank you.
100%, thank you.
Anyone else? Public questions, concerns?
Thanks, guys.
You brought your supporters. I like that. Back,
I'll pay you guys later.
back up here to council.
I make a motion that the city council approve the purchase and award the bid to Rush Truck Center in the amount of $130,894.22.
And I second that motion.
Councilmember Scott?
Aye.
Councilmember Ramirez?
Aye.
Councilmember Wright?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Mintz?
Aye.
Mayor Buildering?
Aye.
Approved 5-0.
Now, Rick, if we would have done this 5 years ago, probably would have been cheaper, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been about $15,000 cheaper.
That's what I figured. I remember it came up the first time and it was that price was.
Yeah, and every time I bid it out every year, and it's going up cheaper.
Yeah. Baby steps. Maybe can't get you the shelter, but we get you something to drive around in. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Council members.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
I'm surprised I have more miles, all the lost animals in the town you're driving around looking for. There'd be more miles on there. I know.
Well, what he didn't mention, Mayor, was the fact that with the main patrol truck in the shop, and then he decided to get into the van, the animal shelter van, to go down to do a radio interview. He gets in the van, and the fuel pump fails. So then that one had to be towed off. So.
Yeah. Hey, you sound really good on the radio. Yeah, you have that nice voice. Yeah. Yeah. Right, number 9, Community Resource Center.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Mayor. So tonight, this is going to be a great opportunity to talk about how we provide services, what type of services that we provide to our community. One of the things that Councilmember Scott has spent a lot of time with me talking about is how do we serve the underserved. And most recently, he was doing some scouting around town, and he found a building over on South Adobe Road, south of 62, that he thought could be a great location for a community resource center. And so then that really caused my team to really start thinking about, well, what is it that what's the target we're trying to hit? It's potentially a great building, and there's a lot to look into it. What's the condition of the building? What was previously stored on the site? And so there's a lot really in terms of the acquisition. But what I thought would be prudent is to at least provide the council an opportunity to start the discussion about what is it that the community needs, what is it the community would like the city to provide, what type of services would the council like to provide to the community. So really this is kind of a broad discussion that I thought we could open up to the city council.
You want to go ahead? It's yours.
So if it helps for purposes of facilitating the discussion, on the staff report here, happens to be on page 24 of mine. Some of the initial discussion items I thought, and maybe for the audience, since they may not have the staff report in front of them, let me just, if you would, I'll briefly run down some of the things that I thought would be prudent. The first is to conduct a community survey to better identify and clarify community needs. A second step could be to review and discuss any formal survey during a public meeting to ensure thorough public engagement. Another step, number 3, is analyzing and prioritizing service needs and marketplace gaps. So what do I mean by marketplace gaps? So let's say there's a need for food. We actually have Miss Lori Cosgrove here from the 29 Palms Food Pantry, who does an incredible job meeting that need. So that would not necessarily be a gap in the market, because we've got a well-established long-standing, well-established nonprofit who's meeting that need. And so there's no gap there. Now, I think Lori would absolutely have a seat at the table in terms of if we did create a focal point for a resource center. And that is actually one of the things that Lori was here today to talk about, if the council so desired, was when we have this center, and I think Councilmember Scott had mentioned this, right now, available services are dispersed throughout the area. And so one of the challenges is getting to them. Another issue could be, what are the services that are available? And so one of the thoughts, and again, this is something that would be driven by the council, is if we were to establish a community resource center, what type of services would be provided there? Could we provide a one-stop shop? I would imagine Councilmember Ramirez might be able to speak at great length about some of the improvements within the healthcare industry in terms of creating focal centers like maybe federally qualified health clinics where they've got mental health, behavioral health, dental, OBGYN, all in one location. And so that individual can just go to one location and get the different referrals to the resources within that. And so I think Ms. Cosgrove, who's got an excellent handle on this, given the fact that she's working with this population on a weekly basis, might be able to opine. To move this discussion along, item number 4 was to conduct a cost-benefit analysis on the higher priority needs to determine economic and social feasibility. So that's just one of the practicalities. We are a city like all cities. We have limited resources. And so we may go through and we may identify what are the services that the community needs or would like, and what are the things we would like to do. And then we'd have to really take a look at what are the things we can financially provide, and how do we stretch the buck to the best ability. Identify the ability to leverage and collaborate with existing service providers, such as other public agencies, NGOs, which stands for non-government organizations, like maybe a nonprofit, and even the private sector, to address identified needs. 6 is service provision will drive hours of operation and required staffing levels, which in turn drives upfront costs and ongoing programming costs. 7, something else to consider is identifying the funding source to acquire, improve, and operate said center. Number 8 is I understand the fiscal impact of long-term funding requirements. Number 9 is the ability to utilize an existing facility, such as the Lucky Park Activity Center, in concert with existing programs. And then number 10 is identify any need to phase or scale programming based on available resources. So I thought that this could just be a kind of a jumping off point for council discussion, and then just see where the council would like to take the concepts and the ideas and the issues.
Thank you, Mr. City Manager. I appreciate the work that you did putting the staff report together. I do want to disagree and say that I don't think this is a jumping off point. I think this is a discussion that we've been having for over 2 years now. At our last strategic planning session, within our top 10 priorities was number 5, Housing and Homeless Advisory Committee. And we stood up a homeless and housing advisory committee who worked at great length in with collaborating with the community and trying to figure out what those needs are. Excuse me. And I think that work has already been done. I don't think we necessarily need to do a survey. We did a survey in 2023, and that's pretty fresh. We did the equity element, which also involved workshops. So I think we know what the need of the community is. I do respect some of these things in here about having a cost benefit analysis. I think that's important. Another thing that came up in the last strategic planning session was revenue augmentation to pay for debt financing so that we could rehabilitate some of our buildings. And I just want to give, we have a lot of buildings, and some of these buildings can be used, but I don't think these buildings are in the right location, and I don't think some of these buildings are they have enough space. For example, I went to a resource fair at Freedom Plaza not too long ago, and some of the youth were turned away and couldn't play basketball because that facility was being used for a resource fair. And so I do think that we need to be looking at a resource fair. I mean, a resource center. Excuse me, I should drink water.
Anyone else, council?
I have one thing to add. And I'm newer to the council, so it may be that I am not as informed as everybody else on here. But Councilman Scott just said that we performed a survey in 2023. It is now 2025. A lot of things change in 2 years. And so I would like to have a side-by-side comparison of what the survey was in 2023 and what the potential survey could be in 2025 to see, if there's anything that has changed, anything that's different, anything like that, anything that we could, new information that we could benefit from knowing that might help us be at a better place today.
We have talked about this, and it's I feel that we have a lot of buildings in the city right now, and some of these services I'm looking at that are down here are being provided by Park and Rec. Some of these, when the senior center has programs, they do a lot of these too also, and the county gets together. She gets federal folks there for the veterans. So they're utilizing that center, and it's also being utilized as our warming center and cooling center. So I'm concerned for the long haul of this, because we've talked about it, about having to have possibly have a sales tax increase or some kind of tax increase, because to sustain what we're doing right now in the city in the next 5 years, unless we have a considerable growth in economic growth, then that is, if it stays too stagnant, then there could be a real problem with services, because obviously there's already every year there's employee cost of living raises. The sheriff's department, their costs go up. And now that it's at $3 million, when they talk about a 3 or 5% raise, it's not they don't all get raises. It's the cost of them doing what they're doing. That's a considerable amount for our budget. So that's something that we're really going to have to look at. At the strategic planning, we can have, feel we can have a broader discussion about all this. And I know we talked about it before, but if we did exactly what we said we're going to do at the last one, we had the committee, they brought it up. And like Councilman Ramirez has said, a lot of things have changed. We have Molding Hearts are taking folks off the street. So is the housing part of that something that we've addressed? So I just feel that, we do need to do some kind of survey, and then also we have to make sure that whatever we do in the future about another building, because we're already talking about last year we had to put $50,000 into roofs, and we have to do it, probably gonna have to do it again this year, so we just have to be very aware of how much it's gonna cost us to continue on over the next 5 years with the budget we have now, if we have no more economic growth. So that's my concern, and like I say, a lot of these services I'm looking down here are being provided by nonprofits, and at the senior center on occasion, the county comes here. So if we're going to have a discussion about adding buildings, we're going to have, the first discussion I want to have is how we're going to pay for it all and sustain it and the rest of the city for at least the next 5 to 10 years. So that's where I'm at with it.
Well, I think, even though I know we've discussed it before, but I think things do change. And so I think it'd be a great topic for the strategic planning, because we can see where people are. Because like Danny was saying, a lot of the services that were talked about at the strategic planning, I think we've been providing. And so there may not be a need for that. And it may be a need, but I think finding out what the community wants today is important. So,
Yeah. No, I agree with that part. I do think that this could be part of the next 2-year strategic planning session. But I'm a no on this survey. It just seems like we keep doing surveys, and they're really expensive surveys with very small sample sizes, and so I'm afraid that we're not really getting the entire what the entire community wants, because the sample size is just too low. We're a city of almost 30,000 if you count the base, 15,000 if you don't count the base, and the sample size is 300 people, I think, if I'm reading it correctly. I just don't think that it's worth 30,000.
well, I don't think we should do a survey either until after strategic planning, because it may come on the low end at the strategic planning, and then we don't need to spend no money on it.
Right, and the folks that it may come to our 2 days or 3 days, wherever, I'm not sure how many days we're gonna do it, but I haven't seen a budget for this survey or how many people. This hasn't been presented to us yet. Has it?
So, yeah, the survey, yeah, so the
2001, yeah.
Yeah,
Not-
so the previous survey was really done to identify the community's openness, as it has been explained to me. The previous survey that was done in, what year was that? Councilmember Scott, 2023, was really done through the lens of, is the community interested in and willing to pay for a sewer?
Yeah.
So that was a very focused survey, and it was not intended to gauge the community's contentment with city services. What parts of the city do they enjoy? What are the opportunities for growth? What are the problems that they see? And so we was talking to the city attorney and the community of Dana Point. They do a community survey every 2 years, and that's really to gauge community wants, needs, satisfaction. And so the idea of the survey, as Councilmember Scott has brought up here, the idea of the survey was really twofold. Is one, as it relates to our strategic planning. So the idea would be that survey could be a component of the strategic plan, and that provides an additional foundation for the city council to really identify, okay, here are community things that they're happy with, things they want to change, things that they're not satisfied with. Simultaneously, the thought process was the survey could also help identify what are the needs that the community has that the council may or may not be aware of. And so that was kind of the thought process behind the survey. On the proposal that you'll see a number of the cities, I know that there was one city in the valley recently engaged FM3, and the intention of them engaging the FM3, the survey company, before doing their strategic plan was really, as I mentioned, to serve as that foundation. In terms of the survey not being an adequate reflection of the community. So the FM3, this is what they do for a living, and their survey is intended to be statistically valid. And so that is an appropriate representation of the community, appropriate engagement. And so there's a list, of cities, Long Beach, et cetera, I think maybe 36 cities that have used this firm to do that. And so that's one of the things that we could certainly survey more people, but then there's a higher cost. And so that's what the surveys firm try to balance is, how do we make it a reliable survey? How do we make it statistically valid, but then not overdo it and unnecessarily ramp up the costs? So that's, so anyway, so that's.
Thank you for that. I also want to add that this idea of a resource center actually came out of the Housing and Homeless Advisory Committee, and we haven't really moved forward on it. But with that being said, one of the recommendations from staff is to appoint a subcommittee. And I think that this might actually be a good opportunity to look at our homeless committee and look at maybe restructuring that or bringing on new people so that we can have fresh ideas.
Well, that I think what the strategic, there's our strategic study session, I think that can all be addressed then, so we can have more at length conversation about it. We can have some public input at the same time we're talking about it, because right now that's hard to do. So now as far as doing the survey before the study session, I'm I'm not sure if they can get it done before then, but it's almost, I don't know, we've had a lot of participation over the years of our citizens come and for it. So I'm okay waiting till after the strategic planning. Because if it doesn't come up, or if it gets brought up and it looks like we should do it, then after that we could maybe go to the survey. But I just think a lot of this is, it can wait till after we have this study session. Because we, like I say, the study session we had 2 years ago, we addressed a lot of the things that we brought up. So, I mean, so I don't know if a subcommittee would be appropriate before we even have our study session. Because then they're going to talk about it before we do it, and then it just, I don't know. I think the study session is where we should start off at.
Very good.
Everyone good? Done? Oh, yeah, you guys all did? Before public? Ooh, look at those hands.
Hot topic.
For those, okay, I'm gonna read the ones I have now, and then you guys have time to fill yours out. You're here for the sewer? We're not doing sewer. Oh, you guys are friends. I like that. Ms. DeFalco. Only one. Oh, there's more public comments. Safer.
Good evening, council. I'm very favorable in a resource center, and I realize a lot of speaking is for the unhoused, but the resource center can also help the housed. We have a lot of vulnerable people in our community that have drug addiction, mental health, lack of jobs, lack of resources. They don't know how to do applications. They have problems filling out even a housing application. And these are housed people that are having these issues. My suggestion, advice would be do a resource center for all our vulnerable members in our community, not just the unhoused. Bring in the mental health, bring in the drug addiction counseling, bring in people that can help with applications, bring someone in that can help you find jobs and resources, bring in health as in physical health issues, and bring those resources to all our community members. We have too many vulnerable members in our community that are not just unhoused. We have housed ones as well. That was all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Astrid Johnson?
Hi, I was teasing Jen because she said what I wanted to say, which is that when I discussed this with Octavia Scott, we were talking about a broader picture, that it would be a resource center for, as Jen said, for the housed and the unhoused. I know we have talked I've been involved in this also, for several years. We had hoped to have a navigation center at one time, and that whole project sort of like collapsed on itself. I saw that you have here at future items, the portable showers and the navigation center. So I think though, but those 2 points could be folded back into the resource center, that it can have multiple purposes. So maybe at times we do have a portable shower that's brought there and is available on certain days. Because we don't have any facility here, I know the nearest showers available would maybe be at the Waite station when it's available, or at the community college. And not everybody is going to get on a bus. And we've had this discussion about the buses and getting people on a bus to go somewhere and giving them the bus passes, which we can do, Arch can do that. But really we need to have it here, right? We need to have a shower program here. And the navigation center would be the resource center. It could provide a variety of things like we mentioned, what April had mentioned about. Definitely we need mental health, and we had talked about, I know the Tay Center had volunteered to bring people in. They were willing to do that. And so we can bring in the Yucca Valley mental health programs and bring them here so that people don't have to go to Yucca Valley in order to get services. And that's what I think the value of this is. And I'm hoping that the burden, the good thing I'm seeing is that this is a broad picture and that the city would get involved with it. So the whole thing wouldn't fall on a particular nonprofit, and which I didn't really want to see happen. And I thought if we have a lot of people in this community that are very interested in getting involved. So we just have to bring all of these people in, and I think you're going to have a wide support group to make this happen.
Thank you. Mr. White Cosgrave?
I think that most of what I wanted to say has been said, but I think the important part is a fully articulated plan so that the money isn't spent, comes to an end, and then is in essence wasted. The building that you buy or lease has to be totally adequate for your plan. So I think obtaining a building now is not exactly the right step. But I think a plan that brought different agencies together, whether you housed a food pantry permanently, somebody who could do a lunch program permanently, all of those things together one at a time, if there's a lot of great ideas. But spending money before the plan is articulated, not a good idea. And I don't think that we need to spend $30,000 on a survey. Citizens of 29 Palms would be more than glad to send you an email telling you what they want. Read them. It's the same thing as reading a survey.
They do it now.
We like to do that. And I also think that we want to be part of this plan because we see that this needs to happen. But I feel like there's a little bit of a displace on who we think and you think you're going to serve at this resource center. I don't think that you can mix all of the population together into one place and have them. It sounded almost like a hangout spot when you talked about basketball. It needs to be a place where they come in and they have services and they take those services, they get what they need and they go. There need to be rules, there needs to be management, and there needs to be security. And that again means big money. Somebody's going to be on the city payroll eventually. So the plan again, becomes bigger and better, I think. I'd also like to suggest if you have $30,000 to spend right now, that maybe you invest it in these folks that are housing people, because 30,000 people, $30,000 sounds to me like it could house maybe a dozen people for a year, and we would have some people off the street and on their way to getting services. And so I thank you for that. And if you are going to bring together a community of citizens who are going to participate, I'd like to volunteer. I think this is an important thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph Carter?
Thank you, Council. It's good to see you again. I originally wasn't going to speak, but what Jen said and something that Councilman Ramirez said put together in my head. She was talking about it being a resource center for all kinds of aspects, like how to fill out a job application, how to keep people from needing more resources. And then Councilman Ramirez was, when we were talking about the truck, she was thinking proactively about how much money that could save in workman's comp, not just how much we'd spend. It feels like, I know money's really tight. Believe me, from all the sewer stuff, I know how tight it is. But maybe we could also look at how much money, and actually do some kind of survey or whatever that looked at how much money we would save by keeping people on the sunny side of the street before they needed more services. How much money we'd get if we got these people jobs or taught them how to get jobs and stuff like that. And we might find out that spending some money on a resource center actually made us a lot more money in the end by lifting a whole bunch of people up and bringing tax money in and stuff like that. I don't know, but that might be a nice thing to check out. And I would just like to add, Mr. Wright, Councilman Wright, you're absolutely right about this town. I went somewhere today and I was just treated like a king. You don't find that anyplace else. I don't think you find a council like this that collaborates with their citizens as much anyplace else. I love this city so much for the people that are here. The buildings mean nothing, the people are what make this town, and we can all get together and lift everybody up, and we'll all benefit from that, and it won't be a money sink. It will be a benefit and a boon for our community in the end. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Carolee Hargrove?
Okay, so I don't know if I'm here as a citizen or a school board member, because later I'm a school board member, but I may come off really passionate, excited, so hold on. All right, one thing we're talking about doing with Morongo Unified is community schools. That's going to be coming down the path. With that comes grant money. So the first 3 years you can be granted up to $500,000, $200,000 each year after. And when I had brought this up during the campaign with everybody else, it's something that's truly on the radar. So here's where we all come in together. We set up these community hubs at the schools, no facility needed, right? During the day, the plan is, and I'm very passionate and excited about this one, the plan is to have a center, a spot on the campuses that would have a food pantry, a clothing, you know, Lori Cosgrove would be great at this because she worked at the high school and did this kind of thing. Laundry services, mental health services, not only for students, but for families, because that's what we're missing here. The students go to school, they get a lot of counseling, a lot of help with social emotional needs, but it's not helping if they're going home and not getting the same care. High school diploma programs, English as a second language program, workforce housing, all of these awesome things. So I'm really passionate about this. And so what I wanted to talk about later, which I'll bring up now, is I'd like the Morongo Unified School Board and the City of 29 Palms for us to do a joint meeting where we could maybe talk about something like this on how we can partner where the whole burden isn't on you. I know the budget for the city is rather small. Ours is rather large, especially with the bond that came through, so that'll free up some facility money as well. And so there's no reason that we can't partner and share facilities, especially in a declining enrollment state where the city could potentially have a space to use after the kids are gone, because of course there's rules and things. And I don't know it all, but Miss Amy Woods and Dr. Vargas and the whole staff would be more than apt to help us with that. So I was going to bring that up later, but I'll talk about all the fun stuff Morongo is doing later. But really think about and see if we can get together and do a joint collaboration meeting specifically for this, so we're all working together and not all spending money everywhere and just all working as one team. Thank you.
Thank you. Anna, ma'am, I'm sorry about the last name. All right, we know who it is. Yeah. Exactly what I was going to say, too.
Hi, my name is Anna Lenkild, and as you guys know, I work for the County of San Bernardino. And one of the reasons why I've never been to one of these meetings before, but one of the reasons that piqued my interest and I'm really passionate about is helping those who need help. One of the reasons why I think we need it in this city especially is because us over at the welfare office, we're very short-staffed. We are worked to the bone because we want to help our customers. That is a big passion of ours, and we feel inadequate because we're not able to meet their needs. And I think this resource center is a great idea, and it saddens me to hear that you guys have been talking about it for a few years, but it's never come to fusion. They really do need help. There's a lot of our customers who come in who need help applying for benefits, but we can't sit with them one-on-one because we're short-staffed. There are people that are coming in, they said they need help applying for housing. They cannot, and we can't give them that service because we are short-staffed. If we had a resource center where someone could go and actually get a help one-on-one to have someone help them to do all these things, I think it would help them. Like for example, the Joshua Tree resource, they have it at least once a month. I refer everybody here in 29 Palms to go to Joshua Tree. I think that would be a great idea to do here also, to have all the county of San Bernardino, all these different programs on one day, once a month even. I don't think it would cost that much, and have it available for those who need the help. I'm just really passionate about it. I will volunteer if this ever came up. I would volunteer my service. I'm sure there's a lot of us who are passionate about helping those who cannot help themselves. And I just really wish that you guys would really take this into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ramirez, go ahead.
Miss Anna, hi. I don't believe we've met before. My name is April Ramirez. I am a nurse by trade. Previously, before moving to the city of 29 Palms, I was the co-lead nurse for the County of San Diego Department of Public Health during the pandemic. I'm also have an extensive background in public health nursing and home health nursing. And so one of the things I really believe in what you're saying. I've seen it happen. Socioeconomic disparities are a very real thing. And one of the things that I'm working on is bringing several home health companies out here, because what a lot of people don't know is that the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services actually does provide home health services for, for all different insurances, Medicare, Medi-Cal, IHP, doesn't matter. And one of the not newer, but one of the services that maybe a lot of people don't know about is a medical social worker. And so sometimes I'll get a referral out here for a patient that maybe needs nursing and PT and OT, and then I'll look at their background and I'll see that maybe they're low income, or they're a diabetic that has been hospitalized many times because they don't understand their disease process, or they don't have the correct foods in their house. And when I start digging a little bit deeper, I find out, well, if you're a diabetic, why don't you have the right diet, And they'll tell me, well, it's because my electricity's off, or it's because I can't afford food, or it's because I'm having a hard time getting my insurance. So I'm definitely working with multiple home health agencies to get medical social workers out here too, to help get these patients, because once home health is involved, it is part of their healthcare services. So the medical social workers are able to help them get signed up for food stamps, IHSS, all of these other things. So I just want to let you know that, number one, first and foremost, I appreciate your care and compassion for the residents of 29 Palms and the high desert. But number two, just know that your words don't fall upon deaf ears, and I'm definitely working on that.
Thank you. So we done with this?
Yes, sir. Yeah, this
You have another
is.
one?
Oh, okay.
You want this item? Yeah, okay. No worries. It gets confusing on these things. But yeah, the other one. You're up.
Hi. Once again, my name is Lakita Johnson. I am with Molding Hearts. I've been doing housing for about 17 years now, and the one thing that we as a community and individuals need to understand is housing is the carrot. The reason why I collaborate with the Department of Behavioral Health, Probation, Juvenile Justice, and all of these things is it's hard to offer anyone service if they don't have a place to actually lay their head. You have to be able to put hands on your clients on a daily basis. If you are thinking of any type of services, we as a nonprofit in Arch, and everyone can justify this, we have to have bids in place that it wouldn't be a burden on the city if you had a bid for services for the transitional age youth, for Department of Behavioral Health or Probation or different things of the county to come in and actually be a part of. They lease that space from you. And so therefore that takes the responsibility off of the actual city of 29 Palms. I think if we realize that the city of 29 Palms cannot solve all problems. You guys need our help, but as a nonprofit, I know Astor was saying not to fall on one nonprofit, but there's many agencies, but it hurts me when someone is calling me homeless from 29 Palms. Now, not just for the housing, but also for services, they do have to come to Yucca Valley, transitional age youth. Even though the TAY Center will help an individual get on Social Security, they will offer them a shower. they will offer them resources. You can go to the crisis center, but if you're having a crisis in 29 Palms, you're going to have a crisis a long way to get to Yucca Valley. So we need to make sure that the services that are in Yucca Valley can somehow, if it's a satellite office, whatever that looks like, the housing needs to be in place to be able to provide the service, and I think that it could be successful.
Thank you.
I just want to thank everyone that spoke, especially Mrs. Johnson, for that. It's, you know, and I do want to clarify something when I made that that comment about kids playing basketball. I was saying that there were kids playing basketball. They wanted to play basketball at Freedom Plaza, but they were not able to because it was being used as a resource center. And so we have a lot of space, but we don't have a lot of space that's specific to like specific needs. And I do want to say that we also have Pacific Clinics that uses one of our buildings over by Lucky Park. I think that they use that building twice a week, and because their old building had some damages, and so they were forced to go back to Yucca Valley. But having them here has been really, really helpful to our community. And I know when, having worked in the nonprofit sector and drop-in centers and things like that, when you have multiple agencies within the same building, that makes referrals that much easier. And so, and just like Ms. Lakita Johnson said, you got a long ways with that crisis if you have to get to Yucca Valley. And so I just wanted to add that.
Good. There's no vote or anything, correct? Just conversation?
No, this was,
Yeah.
this was just for purposes of discussion, and like Councilmember Scott said, great discussion, great feedback from the audience for both community members and also some of the nonprofits that are represented here tonight. So,
but
very
not,
helpful.
Yeah, not to give you more work on your plate or the staffs, but before our workshop, if you can get cost, hiring another employee to do this for the city, cost.
You bet.
What agencies do we already have in the community already being taken care of? What are not being taken care of in the community that is going to be a need? And we'll work with that first, and then once we get that picture done and we know what we do need, maybe we don't need a building, maybe we need an office for the resource, because it turns into, like someone just said, they had to come out here to do their thing. So maybe a resource fair once a month as we build into the building if it needs. And they just said, you're short-staffed, you can't do it. That means who's going to do ours if you're short-staffed? Who's going to be doing ours if you're short-staffed? So that's, I know you're short-staffed, everyone's short-staffed. So building another building for resources, where we get those employees from if you're already packed. Yeah, so, yeah. You'll volunteer? Okay, there's one.
Well,
we got one. No.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I think we really should research what Carolee said, because if the school district is going to be getting these grants and they're going to have facilities, then
the old high school,
that solves the problem. I mean, and when she's talking about a lack of enrollment, I did hear that the sixth graders are going to be going to the junior high.
I'll take that later.
Oh, okay. So anyway, if they have the facilities, then that's something that that's most of the problem. I mean, not problem, but and the audience is right. Joe was right. I mean, it's obviously I'm compassionate to, if you help somebody up, you teach the person how to fish instead of giving them a fish. Mm-hmm. You're better off as a community. But we also just have to think of the big picture. So I'm not pleased. I hope no one's just thinking I'm just thinking of dollars and cents here. But I have to be practical.
And we're aware it's going to take money, but how much money? So we know we got to spend money to make this happen, but how much are we willing to spend to go backwards a little bit? So we all know what we got to do, just how we can do it the best way. So that's our, and Dr. Vargas, I talked about some stuff already. So this is kind of like rolling in. It won't be foreign to him when we have that meeting on some stuff we want to collaborate with. So that's a good thing. Our foot's in the door. You got some? Both of y'all?
I appreciate that, Councilwoman. I was wondering if we could make a motion to, or just give staff direction to do, to reach out to Dr. Vargas for a joint council meeting. Oh, we did? He got it?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
We have one coming. It'll just be another topic on that, but we'll get that going.
I've got that down as an action item. So thank you very much, Ms. Carolee, for being here tonight.
Before we make that motion, I'd also like to make sure that we include. Sorry.
It's already down as an action item.
Got it. Before we move forward, if we are going to work with MUSD, to find out these resources. I'd also like to make sure that we have a chance to work with the healthcare providers that are wanting to come up to our city, because a big part, and I don't want to lecture everybody. Sorry, guys, if I do. I just kind of get rolled away.
You got 3 minutes.
No, I don't.
Okay, I was playing.
I was like, I'm elected. I can talk as long as I want now.
Start the timer. Yeah.
So for a lot of people that don't know, there is a model called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And there's different levels on this pyramid, and the final level is self-actualization. But one of the first level is basic human needs, housing, food, water. And so if we have MUSD that's willing to work with us, that has the money, that has the grants, that has all of these things, and we have a healthcare provider that's willing to come out here, most people that are on tier 2 or tier 3 are probably not dealing with tier 1 issues like housing and food. And a lot of the problems that are related to housing, food, related to the difficulties in securing housing and food and all of that other, sometimes do stem from issues in healthcare, whether it be mental health, behavioral health, whether it be a lack of education, all of those things. So if we are going to have a study session with MUSD, I'd also like to have a study session with our medical partners that are willing to come out here to help and that actually have an experience in working in rural communities.
All right, thank you. Also on that survey, let's not even worry about that survey thing.
No problem.
We're already spending money on the workshop, so let's not.
Nope.
I think we have enough
problem.
intelligent, experienced people in the community to come out and give us some good ideas and their input and opinions, so we don't need that. We have what we need in our city to get us where we got to go, especially something like this, that we all have the big hearts and the big minds, so we'll figure that out amongst ourselves. Anything else on this?
Them nurses like to talk, yeah.
Yeah, they like to talk. It's like the bedside manner. Like
I was going to say politicians like to talk.
That's how they get you out of the hospital, by talking to you. Like, I'm good. I don't even want no medicine. I'm out of here.
At the strategic planning session, are we going to be able to actually make motions to be able to form a committee?
It won't be a motion, but we can say yes, we're gonna do a committee, and then the next meeting we will get the nominees and then make. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
I just want to make sure that I'm very passionate about that homeless housing committee, and I think we should do a little bit of tweaking of it.
If you can do some research now and figure out some people now and start thinking, we can get that. So we're not gonna do it then, and if everyone can, maybe we can do it before we have the workshop. Already have that committee locked in, because they have work to do regardless of the workshop.
Yeah.
Regardless of the resource center, we got stuff that needs to get done by that committee anyways, so that would just be added on if it goes through. So find that committee now, the new or reestablished, and maybe we can go ahead and motion that in March or February, and then they know what they got to do at the workshop. They'll be at the workshop. Maybe they'll show up at the workshop to be ready to take on some of the tasks.
Well, we already have the committee, Keith, don't we already have a committee that's stand up right now? I mean, you had a meeting in November.
But we want to add some health people, correct?
We do. And Octavia's, Councilman Scott and I spoke about potentially the benefits of adding new people, every year.
We'll talk about that later. We can't talk about it right now. So, yeah, just bring that up on a future agenda item.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we good? We good on this?
Yep.
You got all the notes?
we are.
Your copious
Yep,
notes?
I've been
all
taking
right,
copious
all right,
notes.
gotcha. All right, we're moving on because I know some of y'all are hungry. You want to go home? I can tell. All right, future council initiated items. Any changes, adds, any updates?
Yes, sir. So if you'd like to just give me a minute, I can run through and just give the council and the community just kind of a sense of where we are on these various items. And so the first item is revisit allocated funds for portable showers and navigation center. So tonight's agenda item was really kind of intended to address that whole concept of the navigation center or resource center and portable showers as part of a resource. And so clearly, obviously, taking action on that. So in terms of the general plan, so the general plan update, that as the community is aware, that's something that's done every 10 or 20 years. And essentially that is the overall plan for the city. How are things laid out? What are the goals, the aspirations? How does the city want to look? And typically, that is updated, that's sought to be updated every 10 to 20 years. Our last general plan update was in 2012, and so it's about time for us to start thinking about a new update. Keith has done some preliminary cost analysis to identify how much it would cost to do a general plan update. A highly reputable firm, it's got a lot of experience in the area, a lot of experience with the city. They anticipated that cost to be about $650,000 to $700,000 for this update, because there's just so many studies that go along with it, environmental analysis. So it is a significant undertaking. Obviously, it's a costly undertaking.
I think the one in 2012 was almost $1 million. I think it was pretty close to that.
Yeah.
Was that where it was, Keith? I mean, did you see that?
But I wasn't here then.
Well, I know you weren't here, but did you see the last one?
I don't know the exact number, but that sounds in the ballpark.
So that doesn't. I just don't want anybody. We were talking about not spending $30,000 on this, but now we're talking about this. But this is something we have to do, and it is very costly.
And so the discussion surrounding the cost to maintain dirt roads versus paved roads, what is maintained, what is not maintained. So as staff, we have been working towards this. One of the things that this has required a lot of collaboration between the Community Development Department, the Public Works Department, is to identify what roads are we maintaining, and then go ahead and create a map so that it's more easily understood for the public. So that's something that we have been working on. You know, in an ideal world, we can get this general concept back to City Council maybe in third quarter of this year. Certainly the map of the maintained roads, the intention would be to bring that this quarter, potentially second quarter, for the council to review and ultimately approve. We are still operating under the same list of roads that we inherited from the county. So we've not officially adopted that as a city action. We've just continued that over. So this is quite complex. I did some research here recently to identify how much it costs to pave a road, right? We've had some requests, and understandable requests. Hey, would you please pave my road? And when you take a look at the total cost, it works out to be about $1.3 million per mile to improve a road. So that's going to include just a little bit of money for right-of-way acquisition, right? So that takes a lot of time. We have to acquire the ability to put in a road. And then the planning, the hydrology, the engineering, and then ultimately the construction. So about $1.3 million roughly per mile to put in a road. And then, of course, as Councilmember Mintz and really the rest of the council are sensitive to, the more roads we pave, the more roads we have to maintain. So shade structure around Freedom Plaza, this is an art. This is something that the Community Development Department is working on. They've already reached out to a professional within our organization that has done research on shade structures. This, of course, is a part of a bigger conversation. What do we want Freedom Plaza to grow up to become, right? So if we start putting in structures, then that may change the feel or the look of Freedom Plaza. So ultimately, what are the goals? Keith will be working with the Public Arts Commission to identify what type of art can be put down there. So that is something that the council, the staff is working on and will continue to work on. Number 5, a review and discussion of fees as relates to site plan reviews for barbershops and existing buildings. So really that should be renamed and will be renamed to a review and discussion of the fees as it relates to site plan reviews for ancillary uses, right? Because we don't want to focus just on the small barbershop. Really want to talk about ancillary uses. So what is an ancillary use? Think of a grocery store with a bank inside of it. And so our code, this is just one of the realities of running a city, our code is a best effort by the people who wrote the code to contemplate things in the future. Well, it's not a perfect world, so you're never going to think about everything you need to think about. This is one of those examples. Our code just doesn't contemplate having, in this case, a barber shop inside of a beauty parlor or a bank inside of a grocery store. So the Community Development Department has been working on what does that look like and how do we get that together so that we can have the language to allow these things. Because right now, in this situation, that barbershop, according to our code, has to be treated as a separate business, but it's really not. So anyway, so that and then discussion on increasing the city council compensation. The goal is to bring this before council in the first quarter or second quarter of this year. There's not a huge rush, because in all cases, if it was passed tomorrow, or if it was passed tonight, or if it's been passed in 14 months, the compensation increase, if it's voted in, does not go into effect until the next set of council elections. So that's not something that has to be a burning priority. It is something we want to get done, but irrespective of when it gets approved, it will only go into effect beginning at the next election turn. And so that is all on the future initiated items.
You gonna add any? Add to his,
Is that his
future
city
initiative?
manager report?
Hope that dittos the city manager report. All right, we're moving on.
For that, get your coffee out.
Public comments. This is the time for the public to address the city council on issues within the jurisdiction of the city council that are not on this agenda. All comments are to be directed to the city council and shall not consist of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional courteous decorum during their comments. There is a time limitation of 3 long minutes per person. If you haven't already done so, please fill out the name and address slips and give them to the city clerk. The city council is prohibited by state law for taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. Public comments on specific agenda items will be deferred until consideration of the item on the agenda. Leading off, let me go with these over here. Astrid Johnson.
I wanted to make a comment, a thank you comment to everyone here, especially to code enforcement, to Vanessa and Chris, for the point in time count that I participated in on Thursday morning. And I thought it went very well. I know there were teams that went out in the morning, but I know Jen and Shane went out later on in the evening. I went out with Chris, and we spent like about 2 hours just driving around. We didn't find anyone. So, but it was interesting because I wound up later going to Joshua Tree and finding out that nobody had surveyed the way station. So I went and surveyed the way station with a friend of mine, Janet Johnston. And so we did start to cover some of Joshua Tree that had been overlooked. But it turned out to be a very, very interesting day, and I appreciate their participation, and they made it work. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Falco?
Thank you. I wanted to thank Lakita Johnson for all her hard work, and it is appreciated. However, we still have a lot of the unhoused in 29 that for whatever reason are not accepting services, or they don't want to leave 29 Palms. They feel safe here, and it's getting ready to be colder and with the rain, and I just wanted that to weigh in on your minds. Maybe some sleeping bags or some services, little steps right now to help during this cold period. Thank you.
Yes.
Falco, there is one sleeping bag out there that someone brought in for you behind. We'll get it for you after the meeting. Mm-hmm.
Anna? She left?
Can I have Anna's spot?
Yes. She marked both.
Lakita Johnson, I wanted to speak on the fact that there is individuals that are homeless right now here in 29 Palms that are actively using, that do not want to come into housing due to the fact that they have a substance abuse issue, and the income that they receive for Social Security, they're using for recreational activity. The first time we had this meeting, Dr. Stone was very adamant that we will not do roundups. We will not force people into housing. We will give them the resource So yes, we do have individuals that will not come into housing, but it's a choice that they have made. The resource has been there. It's hard to have people in housing that are wanting to do the right thing, and then you have individuals that do not want to do the right thing, but you want to put them into the housing, and they bring those negative behaviors in. I'm not for enabling someone to come into my housing unit using. And if you want to come in, you're going to do the right thing. So I apologize, but some individuals will not be serviced if they're not going to do the right thing.
Thank you. John Dillon?
My name's John Dillon. I'm a missionary, Holy Spirit missionary, and I'm better well known to be the man that walked around America carrying a cross for 10 years. I'm doing my second annual blanket and clothing drive right now in the city of 29 Palms in the Greater Valley areas. My car's full of blankets and jackets. I drive around during the day and sometimes at night, giving them out as well as food. I'm a alumni of the Just Say No program, if that rings a bell to anyone. I have 43 years of sobriety. I weighed 96 pounds when my mother prayed me off of drugs and alcohol. And I felt extremely drawn to be here tonight by God as my higher power. And I'm glad I'm here. Collectively in my life, I've opened 8 churches, 3 of them personally. And it looks like the council might be ear to an advisory person on a few things. So I'm going to submit a small brief to you all individually on paper. And kudos to this lady from Molding Hearts. And may you be protected in the work you're doing. You know, I'm a very abrasive kind of person. Sometimes you need some sandpaper and some polish. That's me, and I'm really good at it. So if you want to know anything more about me, immediately you could Google John Dillon carries cross in America. A long time ago, I carried the cross from the 29 base all the way down to Desert Hot Springs, Palm Springs, and then over to Hemet. And my biggest journey is I carried the cross from El Paso, Texas, all the way to San Diego County, El Centro. And this lady you might know, there was a great man, his name was Father Joe Caro out of San Diego. And there was a lady, she was a philanthropist, her name was Joan Kroc. Her husband was Roy Kroc. He's the founder of, one of the founding members of McDonald's. There's a lot of resources out there that can be brought together, and I'm really good at that too. So I felt strongly to be here tonight, not knowing all of the topics, and I know there's a lot of things that's on your table that need some sandpaper, that need some polishing and some clarification, and hopefully we can work together on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, here it comes, Miss Carolee Hargrove. Da-da-da, da-da-da.
All right. So we only have 1 meeting a month. I tried to get it to 2. It didn't work out very well, but look what it can get me. I can come here and update you when I don't have a meeting. The only horrible part is we have meetings on the same day. The same second Tuesday. Well, you guys have second and fourth. We're only the second. With that effect, when I mentioned the getting together and doing the joint meeting, I'd also like to see if we could keep that going, just to keep you all in the loop. I'm looking up, and every single one of you is involved in this school district, you know, from fine arts to dad to coach, I mean, mom, dad again, all these things, right? So I'd like to keep that going, and I'm also going around to other entities to try to do the same thing. I'm really into just bringing us all together and going from there. All right, now for the fun part. Morongo Unified will be going into bringing the 6th grade students to the junior high. So what that's going to do is it's going to take the 6th graders from Condor, 29L, Oasis, and Palm Vista and place them at the junior high. Those kids will do what every other junior high kid does, you know, still with sixth grade curriculum, but they'll still be able to now do, if you haven't noticed, STEM is entering all these state cool competitions, even national competitions. They'll now be able to be involved in STEM and, you know, financial literacy, all these other cool electives. So that's going to be coming. And why it makes sense, and I know it's going to be hard for a lot of parents, and I get it because I'm a mom too, but why it makes sense is California curriculum is designed K through 5. And then it goes 6, 7, 8. If you're a teacher and there's not enough 5th and 6th grade students and you're putting all of them into a combo, that's really hard to teach two different, totally different levels. And we think this will be good for the kids. They'll now get to be in sports. The kids are growing up, as we know, a little bit faster than I did. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's going to take more discussion. And of course, I'll be coming to the council to kind of help mend that, and with all of your friends and your constituents, help them find the good in it. And if there's something they see wrong, let us know. Let's fix it. Second would be the LCAP survey. It's going to be on morongousd.com. That's open to everyone that lives in the community. So LCAP stands for Local Control Accountability Plan. That's how we get our money from the state. Based on this survey, then we as a school board have to design how the education goes. Hence your community day schools, which is really popular, social emotional learning, professional development for teachers. Either way, it's for everyone in the community to do, so I encourage everyone to do it. Even if you don't have a student, you're part of the community with the students we serve. Next, the bond pass, Measure C. They're still accepting applications for an oversight committee. I started like sending it to people, and then I'm like, oh wait, you can't be elected and do it, but all right. But tell your friends, tell your family, constituents, we need folks on there to oversee how that money is gonna be spent. You all know how committees work, but for the public, anybody can come along and be part of it and help us, you know, shape what you think we should do for the school. One last note, everybody's probably seen it, but I got really excited because Freedom Plaza, I'm old school, Freedom Plaza has the culinary kitchen. Well, 29 Palm High School kids, and nothing against Yucca because I serve the entire district, but they beat out Yucca Valley High in the first ever Chopped competition. So that was exciting. So thank you for, again, another partnership that we're doing together with the culinary kitchen. So I'm looking forward to meeting all of you, and thank you for letting me give you an update. See you next month.
Thank you. Miss Susie Dick.
So I just came to thank the city council and Lori for, we had 27,000 pounds of surplus food delivered to the Public Works Department and yard on the 23rd. And on the 24th, we handed out 1,200 cases of food to how many nonprofits?
Your numbers are really good. 12,324 pounds of food, 29 pallets.
Okay.
To 30 agencies, Morongo Basin wide, who are helping people who are suffering from food insecurity. They each went home with approximately 450 pounds of food.
See, that's why I asked.
All of it came from the Church of the Latter-day Saints, Jesus Christ.
Was any of that meat?
No, it was not. It was all non-perishable items, so it has a long shelf life.
Yeah.
They contacted the 29 Palms Community Food Pantry. We contacted the city. Eli Marshall set us up with Public Works. Eli, some of the people from Public Works, and your city manager gave their Friday off so that we could donate this. That donated their time so that we could distribute this food. And this is the third time that your church has done this in our community and made it possible for us to distribute this food. And it's nice for us because at the 29 Palms Community Food Pantry, we do one job, and that's food. And we want to make sure that the residents of 29 Palms, Wonder Valley, and the Marine Corps Base have enough food to get through every month. And we are serving approximately 250 families a month. But we're serving 250 families. These other agencies are serving, you know, a large number of families too. And without this influx of food that comes from the Church of Latter-day Saints, Jesus Christ, Latter-day Saints, I want to say it right, comes in a truck all the way from Utah. The man drives overnight, drops off the food, and everybody comes and they picks it up. So she brought me up, but I want to say thank you to you because you started this with us, and thank you to the city of 29 Palms because we do it here because we just get so much support. You know,
Yes.
we don't worry about having enough volunteers. We make a couple phone calls, and you know, guys with forklifts make this happen, and we are thankful. And thank you, Stone, for the day that you spent out there.
Yeah.
And Larry came and spent the whole day too. So you know, it was a big city thing. So thank you.
And that's exactly what I wanted to tell you. Thank you. Can I add one more thing?
You got 30 seconds. Hit it.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure my time's about up. But one of the things that my church is trying to do with the food deliveries is the people who receive that food need to start showing that they are doing just exactly what you were talking about, having the people gaining the ability to go to work and become self-reliant. And so, thank you. I love your city. I don't even live here. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you. No better way to end this with Miss Leanne Clark. Go.
All right. So
Okay.
I don't get to be last.
You don't get to be
Fine.
last. We'll let Robin, she's pouting over there. We'll let her talk.
All right. Well, on behalf of the 29 Palms Ministerial Association, we want to give a great thank you out to our community. As Councilmember Wright shared, we had a nice turnout. We had the walk. We had the full council. I want you all to know, our entire city council and our city manager and our wonderful Kurt Schopner were all present for the MLK walk. I think that says a lot for that particular observance and for our entire city council and our city manager to make it a point to support this event and recognizing Dr. King's message. I just think it really speaks volumes. And 29 Palms Bible Baptist Church, as well as the Ministerial Association, thanks you all. I also want to thank past President Anna Stump from the PAC committee. She also came out and supported. So in my mind, I think having our city that supportive of something of that nature sends a message. And we want to thank you all. And also our next Mayor's Prayer Breakfast will be Tuesday, February 25th, 7 a.m. at First Assembly of God Church on Sullivan Road, and we'll have more details out to everyone. And thank you all, and God bless, and may you all have a continued great 2025. Thank you.
Thank you. And Robin.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank Lori and Susie and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints because we got food from them too that we're going to be distributing out to our seniors, which are really going to have fun with it. But I wanted to say a quick thank you to Dr. Stone James for taking the time to come over to the 29 Palms Senior Center last week. We've had the building there for a long time, and it is an old building. It's an old building. It was the USO, I think, way back in the day. and something that was mentioned earlier when you were talking about the new resource center is that Danny mentioned that we have buildings that also need to be retrofitted here. And that building is one of them. And I appreciated Dr. James coming down there and taking a look at it with some of the guys from the Public Works Department to see about retrofitting it, to bring it up to ADA standards. It's something that has been long needed. We have a lot of seniors that come there. We're typically got 60 to 70 people a day coming in now. And they come in and they have lunch and they play pool and they have activities and chair yoga. If you're out there, come and have chair yoga on Wednesday mornings. It's a big hit. But you know, things like that are really appreciated, and we appreciate the support of the city. Because the one thing I would like to do is mention the roof. The roof. We need a roof. We got buckets in the attic. They've been there since I started 14 years ago. One of these days. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Oh, the dreaded. City manager's update.
Oh, I'm wounded. I get the spear out of my chest. So, you know, I just got to say, like, what an amazing community, just in terms of this type of interaction and this type of feedback, and just so grateful to be a part of it. And so the MLK Walk, I had really the pleasure of, that was my first MLK Walk that I participated in. It was a wonderful event. Want to give special thanks to the Sheriff's Office. They provided a safety vehicle just to help increase the visibility of our group as it walks down the road. And I actually just used my own funds to buy a little meal card for the gentleman who drove the car. He took his time on very short notice to do that, and so just very grateful for them. And then also one of the things was talking to the council in an effort to grow the event and to make the event a little bit more accessible to anyone who would like to do it. I'm going to participate in the walk next year, but then I'm also going to have stationed one of our buses down there, one of our vans. So anyone who would like to do the walk, I will be able to drive you back to your car. So just make it a little bit easier. Next year, I hope there's food.
You're welcome.
Yes, Mayor, thank you for that suggestion. I was able to work with our city attorney's office and our Parks and Rec department, and so I will be able to make that bus a reality for you and the rest of the council. And then I just hope that Mac has a hand in making sure there's good food there next year, because if Mac's involved, the food's going to be good. Robin, yeah, thanks again for just all of the great feedback that you provided our team from Building and Safety, as well as Public Works. And each time we go there, the work that you're doing, the warm meals that you're providing, the good meals that you're providing is just very impressive. So thank you for that. So grants. So one of the things that I wanted to provide the council and the community was an update on 2 grants that we'd recently pursued. One of them was the EPA grant. Keith and I spent an awful lot of time preparing for that. That would have been a $20 million grant, $13 million that we had identified for the multimodal pathway. Multimodal just means you can bike, walk, run, use a scooter, electric, little electric cart. And then also wrote in $7 million for a community center somewhere in our downtown. That also we had submitted for an active transportation infrastructure investment program grant. That was another opportunity to see if we can get that multimodal pathway funded. And so as of Monday, it was still in a hold status. Don't know if that probably not too promising, but then of course, as everyone's probably aware, President Trump has paused funding of all kind of major programs while his administration evaluates the efficacy and then also the financial feasibility of them. So right now, those things are on hold. So we had a great conversation about the future agenda items. Point in time count, I had the privilege of being a part of that this year. I had a wonderful volunteer from MUSD, Jeanette. She just had great tenacity. So we just went out as a 2-person crew and we scoured our area, walking up and down, hiking. We had hiking boots on, really scoured that. So that was good. I was glad to be a part of that and appreciated all the people that came out. And so other than that, that's what I've got. That was less than 30 minutes.
I like that. That's awesome.
That's a win.
All right. Hey, well, 1 month down in 2025 and we're doing good. We're smiling, we're getting things done, and our heart's in the right place. So, and we're all working together towards the better of our city. So that we're on the right track. So let's keep this going. We will disagree somewhere down the road, but I think we respect each other enough. Let's keep it going. So thank you all. Have a happy rest of January. And if your team's not in the Super Bowl, neither is mine, so don't worry about it. All right. Meeting adjourned.